Topic I've got for you today is the Baby John Mulaney stand-up special. As you're all aware, I'm like getting really into stand-up in the past like 4 or 5 months. Like I had Louis C.K, had Daniel Sloss, had the Chris Rock episode or the episode discussion thing I did where I talked about his special like almost a couple months ago. Like that was the first episode when we moved here and we're in this new backdrop. That was that first episode. So to say the least, I've really got myself into stand up. And I remember, just to give you a bit of context, this is going to feel like a James Allen Reviews episode, but just to give you a bit of context, I watched one of John Mulaney's specials back in 2022, and I just randomly found it on Netflix. Thought it was the funniest thing in the world, but I did rewatch his other two specials, like bits of it, like 16 minutes of both, just to see, okay, what's his humour like? What's his humour like? Ideally, I would have watched both specials back to back, but I just want to get a little taste of his humour, and it did feel kind of a different style. Like he's not super dark and crazy like Louis C.K. or how Daniel Sloth went insane on those jokes, and Chris Rock with his whole humour about the M- Meghan Markle and abortion. It is not one of those guys, and so getting into this special called Baby J, he he jokes about how he was this coke addict, and then he had this whole thing where he went through this therapy process, this interjet. Let me Google that. Let me go into the. I'll go into Netflix, right? I was planning on re-watching it, but I just thought, why don't I just talk about it because it was like 5 days ago I watched it. So I'm just gonna go on Netflix right now and tell you what the heck I watched here. So there's like a summary. So it's called John Mulaney, Baby J, and it says a chaotic intervention and action-packed stay in rehab after a weird couple of years. John Mulaney comes out swinging in his return to the stage. So that's kind of what he did, right? He was in this rehab in 2020, right? And then it sort of like went on and on and on to where he's came back from that, and he's joking about how he's a psycho crazy man who took all these drugs, jokes about all the doctors. He does touch on January 6th for a bit, which was an interesting take, as of course, right, he's not like a superimposed super crazy comedian. He's just telling these jokes about his life and all of that, and not as like, oh, the Jews or anything. Nothing like that. He's not one of those comedians. And so seeing him kind of joke about that given that edge of the January 6th stuff was interesting to see. On top of that, right, I was laughing my ass off, right? I was laughing my ass off through this special. It was like, ha 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 ha. It's like, with my hand like that. Boom, boom, boom. As I was sitting on the chair. I had to grab a few drinks of water. So I was really into this special. And I will say that it does still add that element of, okay, when you're not at the stand-up special, when you're not actually at the stand-up event physically, it's kind of different to when you're at home because you're not with the crowd and there's not that sort of feedback where there's everyone around you joking with you. It's just you at home laughing at this thing. So you get that contrast. But even with that said, I still thought the special was enjoyable. It's a bit different to his other stuff, where definitely a bit of an improvement to his other stuff. He's got more to talk about now, more to joke about now, more material. That's kind of what comedians do. Also, Mark Norman might be coming to New Zealand in June, so I might talk about that as well. I'll just keep talking about stand-up for as long as I want to, because it is a topic that very much interests